Hello there, interwebs. I hope you're all doing well. So, kind of a brief little discussion that I wanted to have. Something that I haven't really talked about a lot on this or my main channel is the fact that over the past couple of years, I have fallen in love with From Software's Soulsborne type of games. Oh, and also something that I meant to mention is that I fell in love with Dark Souls so much that I'm actually getting a Dark Souls tattoo. Like, quite literally, I've already put down the deposit for it. I'm getting a Dark Souls tattoo. That's how much I fell in love with the franchise. Quite a bit. Back when I worked at GameSpot, which many of you may or may not know, I did videos for GameSpot a little while ago. When Elden Ring came out, I made a video that was me playing Dark Souls for the very first time. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. You should go and check it out over on GameSpot's channel. God fucking fuck this fuck 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 motherfucker! No! No! Fucking camera! Fuck you, camera! Fuck this camera! This fight's shit. Fuck this game. I just. But after that point, I fell in love with Dark Souls and just adored them all so much to the point where I have now played Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne and been really good at them. I beat the final boss of Bloodborne, the Moonshadow Presence, on my first try. I am very proud of that fact. Love the series. And I am working my way up to Elden Ring. I also play Demon Souls as well. So I'm working my way up to Elden Ring, and the latest game that I started to play was Sekiro. And if any of you have played Sekiro, you know is an incredibly difficult game that definitely builds upon the Soulsborne formula in a lot of ways, but also is very different from it in terms of its combat, in terms of it being more about blocking and timing and precision in a way that Dark Souls and Bloodborne very much aren't, with their desire to sort of think more strategically with your movement and with your like aggressiveness in Bloodborne's case, or your blocking in Dark Souls' case, things like that. And so Sekiro is just a very different type of game that takes your brain a minute, especially if you're coming off of Bloodborne and Dark Souls and all that, to adjust to, because it's similar enough that you think you get it, but just different enough that it doesn't quite click immediately. And ultimately, I got very frustrated and angry at the game for the first, third of it, to the point where I got to one of the main bosses. I'm going to mispronounce names because I can never pronounce any names. Junichiro, the sort of one big main boss that you fight on that sort of like flat area at the top of the big building. And I just kept losing and losing and losing. I tried for days and I couldn't beat it. I was getting very frustrated. And then ultimately I decided to put the game down because I needed to go take a trip to LA. And then Jedi Survivor came out. And I was like, dang it, I'm probably never getting back to Sekiro. I'm never going to be good at Sekiro. I think I might end up just stop playing. It might be the one FromSoft game that I don't beat. But then I played Jedi Survivor. And what is interesting about Jedi Survivor, which is also a Soulsborne-like game, is that it actually weirdly, I have critiques of Jedi Survivor. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means, but its combat does borrow from Dark Souls games, but also kind of started to borrow from Sekiro in the way the lightsaber is used. It's a slower game than Sekiro, much slower. Sekiro is a much faster type of game than Jedi Survivor is. But Jedi Survivor is also a game that does focus a lot on timing blocks and blocking people at the right moment. And because the game slowed me down and forced me to think about blocks, like blocking and rhythm with blocking, in a way that Dark Souls and Bloodborne really hadn't, it started to click how Sekiro worked. And I beat all of Jedi Survivor. And I finally went back to Sekiro expecting that I was just going to have to put away the game. I was like, I'll just try the boss again, and I don't think I'm going to beat it, and I think I don't really want to restart the game, so I might just be done with the game. But then I beat that boss on the very first try. Literally, the very first try back after after I think like 2 months of having not played it. And the reason was Jedi Survivor actually detrained my brain from Dark Souls and Bloodborne enough that it made me sort of understand how to get into Sekiro, and it just made me click with it. And don't get me wrong, Sekiro from that point on has been really difficult, but I just beat it today. I beat the final boss. It was a pain in the ass, but it wasn't frustrating in the same way that it was before, because it just clicked in my brain. And at that point, I started to understand when I was screwing up, why I was screwing up, and how to get better and improve at it. And it just all made sense to me in a way that it just hadn't before. So I just wanted to talk about that because there's just an interesting pathway to get to understanding Sekiro that I think a lot of people have the same experience with Sekiro when they play it. I've heard a lot of similar experiences where people just like got it after a point. But I just, because I went through this like sidetrack to Jedi Survivor, it was just an interesting way that it eventually just made sense to me. And so if anyone else is like having issues with getting into Sekiro and who really wanted to, I'd recommend playing Jedi Survivor first, then going right into Sekiro, because I think it would actually really help. That being said, though, I have now played all of the Dark Souls games, all Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. So on next is Elden Ring. So I will be playing that next. So wish me luck. And yeah, probably when I finish Elden Ring, I'll do a ranking video if anyone's curious about that. I'll rank all the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games. But with that being said, I hope you check out the GameSpot video I did. And with that, live long and prosper.